we're talking about affairs and sexual temptation. And look, let me break it down to you. Affairs do not begin in the bedroom, okay? They start with a glance, a flirtation, a second look, maybe a follow up, a hello and a chat and a conversation, you know? Maybe it's through close proximity in the workplace. But you don't just wind up in bed, right? So it's not like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? There's a progression about how affairs happen, and they start with temptation, and and a lot of times guys, and let's put it where it belongs. A lot of times guys are, well, I was tempted, I couldn't help myself. You can't help yourself, okay? It's a choice, just like loving your wife is a choice. It's not an emotion that you fall into and out of. Love is a choice, and you choose to love your wife, just like you choose to be tempted, just like you choose to engage in an affair. Okay, and I'm not just talking about a physical, sexual affair, but emotional affairs are just as damning. And I want to share with you. It's from 1 Corinthians 6:18, and it says, "Flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body." And listen, Paul's not saying, well, just don't send back another text, or just just be friends. He said, flee, 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 run away, right? Don't mess around. If you got that glance and you make eye contact, hey, don't look back, right? Nobody expects you to sit there with like a horse with blinders, right? But if you're looking around and you make an eye contact, and then it turns into something else, man, look, you've made that choice. You've made that choice to allow destruction through temptation to enter into your marriage. Just don't even go there, you know. And it's like, well, but it's hard. It's everywhere. It's only hard and everywhere if you open yourself up to everyone. Okay, and it doesn't mean that you can't be nice to people, or you're polite. Sure, you are. But there's a difference between social niceness, social etiquette, and sexual temptation. And don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. We can't just tip a toe down in there and just for the old feelings of whatever. Look, if you want some feelings of romanticism, or being amorous, you go to your spouse. That is your partner. That is the person you chose to be connected to, and it really is. When we start dealing with flirtations and temptations, and texting and sexting, and pornography and fantasy, all we're doing is turning our attention away from our spouse. And again, and that violates the 224 unit principle of two becoming one. You chose to come together. You chose to be married. You chose to be a couple. You chose from two people to one, right? The 224 unit. And now, if you turn away and you do against what Paul says in 1 Corinthians, and you do not flee, but you choose to turn and be tempted, that is a choice you're making. So you're not a child. You're not a child tempted by a pile of cookies and a glass of milk. We're adults, right? We were adult enough to take the job to serve the public. We're adult enough to marry our spouse. And we are adult enough to avoid situations of temptation. Listen, you ain't missing nothing out there on the other side. Like they say, if the grass is greener on the other side, it's time to water your own grass. So keep your marriage tight. Keep it strong, right? Flee from temptation. Flee from temptation. Uh, Give your spouse to deserve the love that they respect. So Lee and I, we're praying for you. We thank you, and God bless you for your service.